You don't have to keep all of that weight on yourself and think that you're indispensable
Yes.
or that you are the answer to everything. You are a key part of it, but don't put that additional burden on yourself that without you, everything will fall apart because you will fall apart eventually.
Glinda the Good Witch said to Dorothy, "You've always had the power. You had to learn it for yourself." Dorothy, you could have clicked your heels 3 times in the beginning of this movie. I didn't realize the deeper meaning that every single one of us has the power, but we just don't realize it.
I'm Lee Jones, a U.S. Army combat veteran, author, and the host of this show. This is where honest conversations, veteran perspectives, and real life lessons come together to help us all navigate transition, growth, purpose, and the moments that shape who we become. Welcome to Hindsight, the podcast.
When you look back in hindsight, everything is 2020. In hindsight, we make mistakes, we're learning from it.
Hey, Debbie, how are you doing? Welcome to Hindsight, the podcast. How's the day treating you?
So far, so good, Lee. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you on here because we do have interest, maybe is the
Okay.
word I'm looking for, being that I am over 50. And a lot of the things you talk about were the revelation that you had maybe after 50. You could have had it beforehand, right? But from what I've read and what I've seen, something sparked in you around 50. So, Debbie, if you don't mind, can you take us back to that? And before things started to change, what did confidence look like in your life?
Absolutely. So I became a family caregiver when I was 17. My father had a massive stroke. He was only 46. My parents were divorced, and I became his caregiver. Luckily, he lived for 30 years. But it defined my life at an early age. I continually then cared for other family members. My oldest son at 2 was diagnosed on the autism spectrum, added a myriad of diagnoses since then. And then my husband suffered from a lot of different physical illnesses, but then also depression and anxiety, which my oldest son suffered from as well. And so I was their caregivers. And for so many decades, I was focused on everyone else and gave it all to them. And I wound up being resentful, exhausted, burnt out, quick to anger. And something about the number 50, when I turned 50, I thought, oh my goodness, 50 years went by so fast. The next 50 are going to fly even, faster.
Yeah.
And at that point, my dad had passed away about a year earlier, and he died with so many regrets. And my mother, who's thankfully still alive, also has regrets. And I thought, I don't want to be that person that gets to the end of their lives looking back, thinking, man, I can't believe how quickly this went. I shoulda, coulda, woulda. But the thing was, I didn't know what that was. Like, I didn't have some dream that I always wanted to write or paint, or I had nothing. But I just knew that something had to give.
I heard you say that you lived with a victim mentality for
Oh, yeah.
years. What did that look like in everyday life for you? You kind of touched on it a little bit just then, but what did that look like for you?
So I had not been familiar with that term. And when I heard it, sometimes you got to take a hard look at yourself and an honest look in the mirror. And boy, my picture should be under the definition of victim mentality. I was always like, why me? I can't believe this. I'm looking at my friends, this, especially in your 20s and 30s where people aren't dealing, 50s, you expect that you're dealing with, caring for your family members, but not at a young age. And it just seemed like I struggled with everything. I struggled with other things. I struggled with my weight. I struggled with my infertility. Like every single thing felt difficult. And I would look at my friends and family and, to me, they weren't having those same kind of challenges, or obviously not just the same exact challenges, but as many challenges. And I felt sorry for myself. I felt put upon. Um, I just, I definitely felt like the universe was conspiring against me and I didn't know why.
Do you think women have a more difficult time with victim mentality than men, or is it equally kind of balanced? I'm just curious of what you think.
I do think that it is skewed a little bit that women do suffer from that victim mentality. I
Mhm,
think
mhm.
because we're naturally supposed to be caregivers and we give so much and we give more. I think men are better at setting boundaries and
Mm,
not giving out what they don't have. They know how important it is to
interesting.
prioritize their own self-care. In general, obviously, we're talking.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Because I was sitting there and I was thinking about, obviously, I think well, I'm not going to say everyone. I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak for me. But I know I've suffered through some victim mentality, and then I try to, set those triggers or set those, some sort of alarm bell or red flag, like, hey, this is happening, Lee. Get out of that mindset. I wonder how easy or how difficult it was for you because to your point, you don't really know what's going on until you know what's happening, right? Or until you can identify or define what it is. So how once you've defined it and maybe before 50 or maybe at 50, once you defined it, how easy because it still shows up. I mean, it's
Oh,
there. Your
yeah.
mind is always talking to you, right? But how easy is it for you to shift, like pivot that mindset?
I think like you said, I can only speak for myself. It was and is difficult
Mhm. Mhm.
because for so many decades, that's how I lived. I never stopped to examine my thoughts. I just thought if I think it, it must be so. I don't
Mm.
know why. I just assumed that that was the case. And so the thing for me actually that really resonated with me that made me able to um I guess see everything differently was this formula that I learned from Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles, which is E plus R equals O, meaning E is the event, R is your response, and O is the outcome. So
Mm.
things happen to all of us. That's life, right? I mean, that's I think the first thing. This is not a game. We're not measuring who has more events and there's all different timing and there's all different things. I didn't realize in that formula that there was an R. I just thought you have an event, let's say, a bad event. My
Mhm.
father has a stroke, equals the
Yeah.
outcome, poor. I
Mm.
never took responsibility for the fact that I can choose how I respond to those events and then
Mhm.
in turn change the outcome. And that for me was powerful. Like it was hard to look back and realize, "Oh my goodness, I gave away my power. I gave away my power to the events, to people." But instead of looking back and kind of berating myself, it also felt very empowering because then I realized it doesn't matter what's going on in my life and it doesn't matter the challenges that I face. I still have the power to decide how I'm going to respond to them and then in turn affect the outcome.
Mm. And that is that little aura and that formula is the key to everything. I remember, and I tell this story a lot. So if you're a frequent listener, I apologize. But I remember when I was in the military, and I had to go to anger management. And I thought it was kind of stupid, right? This is when I was young and dumb, but I
Yeah.
thought it was kind of stupid. And I remember and I say it differently every time, but I remember the first obstacle that I had to overcome, the first challenge was to understand that I am in control, right?
Mm.
So there was no response. So they asked me a simple question: "Who makes you mad?" Or "Can people make you mad?" Or something like that. It was over 30 years ago. So, but who makes you mad, right? And I was like, "Yeah, someone can make me mad. Absolutely, absolutely. Debbie can make me mad. Absolutely." And they were like, "No, no, she can't. Only you can allow yourself to become mad." And I was like, "Bull crap."
Yeah.
That makes no sense because I didn't understand that I had given away my power and I was only responding to emotional triggers the way I was brought up to, or socialization, or family, or watching TV, whatever it is.
Right.
You don't know that you have that power, and once you get it, it's empowering because you're constantly having to make that decision on how you respond to things. Did you find that, you said looking back, so in hindsight, looking back, you're like, "Oh my god, all these years I didn't have the power, now I have it." How did that make you feel,
Oh my
like,
goodness.
now?
Yeah. I mean, now I feel like sky's the limit, right? Nothing can
So just
happen.
watering.
Nothing
Uh-huh.
can happen that sure, something could throw me off course, let's say, but
Mhm.
there's nothing that can happen that I don't have control of. I
Yeah.
can't control obviously the event or the what someone says or does, but the fact that I can always control how I respond, my emotions, all of that, it is empowering. It doesn't mean that it's easy. Like you said, I mean,
Mhm.
still that victim mentality is, kind of natural for me. Also, like, that comparing yourself to other people is a very difficult one for me, especially looking at social media and everybody's highlight reels and all the things. I find that kind of triggering. And I
Mm.
have to always talk myself through that. So it doesn't go
Yeah.
away. I think, like you said early on, it is so much the fact that now I am aware.
Mm.
It's the awareness piece. It still pops in my head,
Mhm.
but I'm able to, and sometimes it takes a while. Like I realize, oh my goodness, I've gone down that rabbit hole. Stop it.
Mhm. Yeah,
But,
yeah.
once you know, you know.
Yeah, I know sometimes I lay in a bed and my dog, he comes and gets me because he wants me to take him out, and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't why I gotta keep but then I there's that trigger, there's that flag, and I know it's a simple example, but there's that flag because it comes in all types of ways. It's bombarding you with these choices, right? But you have the power. So for me, I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna get up, blah, blah, blah," and then I stop myself, and I say, "You know what? I'm thankful that he's getting me up because chances are if he didn't come and get me up, I'd stay in bed. I wouldn't get out, get this exercise. I'd gain weight. I'd have, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Health issues, like all the things that this simple choice or this simple exercise or this simple event, right, is helping me with. And now I have to pivot and stop thinking about the inconvenience of getting out of the bed early and look at all the benefits that I'm getting out of it. So a simple example, but the bottom line is, yeah, you have the ability, the choice, the power to decide how you're going to respond to those events. I like that formula. I never heard that formula, but yeah. So confidence. Now, for me, I was super shy when I was growing up, and I say shy, but it was really a lack of confidence.
Mm,
I didn't play sports a lot. Um, I knew how to play, but I didn't want to play like in school because I knew all eyes would be on me. That's how I felt because you can only see what you see from your perspective, right?
yep.
Not team. For you back then, where did confidence feel the hardest for you? Like your body, your voice, your choices, or something else?
But definitely my body. I
Mm,
had a weight problem literally since the minute that I was born.
mhm,
And I have memories of being like preschool age and feeling uncomfortable in my body compared to
mm,
the other little girls. And because of that, I knew that I was always being judged. It wasn't just from kids, it was adults at that time. People would say, "Oh, you have such a pretty face." Like, "Oh, it's such a shame that the rest of you looks like that." And who wants to be seen and always critiqued and made to feel less than? And I
yeah.
used to, it's so funny that you bring up the sports thing. So
Mhm,
I love to play sports as well. And in elementary school, I had a gym teacher who just made me feel terrible about myself. There
mm,
used to be a song, and this is really dating myself. I'm over 60. So there used to be a song called oh my goodness. It was a song with a rabbit and a turtle. And
mhm,
you used to have to like start off slowly and then people would be running really fast and I couldn't run really fast. And it just
mm.
made me feel less than. I just, oh my goodness, I hated that. And I felt like there was something in that song, I can't believe I can't remember, where
Mhm.
they said something about your weight. And whatever it was, I felt like then all eyes were on me. And then
Yeah.
in 6th grade, we got a new gym teacher, and she gave me the confidence to say, "Yes, Debbie, even though, okay, you're not a fast runner, you can catch, you can throw, you can, do all the things." And just having her believe in me started to change my belief in myself. So,
I
yes,
like it.
I lacked so much confidence. I was afraid. My brother's 4 years younger. He would be
Mhm.
7 years old, and I'd be like, "Michael, go in that store and get me, ask a question or buy a soda." He's like, "No,
Mm.
can't you do it?" "Nope, nope, I don't wanna be seen."
You got me thinking now, Debbie. I was young and I was really skinny. I was really skinny and I had really I still have little legs, right? I have the dad bod right
Yeah.
now. So I got a big up here and then a little down the bottom. But I remember a whole summer I wore jeans
Oh, god, I did that all the time.
because I didn't want to show my skinny legs.
Yep.
And then it was so miserable. I remember it because I remember specifically like the next summer I was like the hell with it.
Yeah. I never said to hell with it. Oh, that was so me. I can't even believe you said that. Of course, for opposite reasons, because I
Yeah.
have the opposite body. My legs are so big.
Yeah, yeah, and it's something.
Yeah,
Isn't it something?
terrible.
So for me, like I said, playing sports, you said, well, you got empowered in the 6th grade, so that's awesome. But what did playing small look like in your life?
I
F
never took a chance. I
Me
stayed in
too.
my comfort zone, right? And that happened all the way into my 50s. It was like I wanna stay in my safe little box where, I can't be criticized, I can't fail, I can't be seen. And so I
Yeah.
I had to pick and choose, I kind of leaned into what I was good at. I was a good student, and that became my identity. Forget everything
Mm,
else, even though my body didn't look like it should have, quote unquote, societally as a teenage girl, you know, I could say, okay, but I'm a better student. So that's my claim to fame. And I had to just kind of lean into that to try and feel worthy.
yeah. I don't even know if I even tried to lean it. I didn't even have that clarity to lean into something else. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just, I'm sitting here thinking now. This is hindsight, so I'm looking back, and I don't. I just did. I think when I was younger, I was like I said, I was super shy, but now I know that I wasn't confident, and I just responded as best I can, but I was blessed to be surrounded by some good friends. I had
Mm,
some good friends that weren't troublemakers or anything like that. And I love this about me, my mom, my upbringing. I had a nice diverse group of friends.
mm,
I had two black brothers, James and Frank, rest in peace, James. I had two white brothers, Tim and Rich, still great friends today. And we had Adam, who was white as well. And then we had Kurt, who was Korean. And we did everything together. But what it allowed me to do and me to understand early in life is the benefits of togetherness
mm,
instead of the divisiveness, you know, that we sometimes have, right? We have a lot of categories for different things. So just being around that group of people, I think that helped me to one, once I got into the military, it was again. And once I started going to these small towns that the military sent me to, there it was again. Right. So I had an opportunity to be around all types of people, economic, gender, races, ethnicities. And I think that has really helped to shape how I see things in a
mm.
sense. Meaning it helped out a little bit, I believe, with my confidence because now you're seeing it from a whole lot of different people. Once you get close to people, they become vulnerable to you. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So I
absolutely.
so I think for me at that young age, I think just being around that good core of friends kind of helped me to come out of, or to help me with my confidence. So how about you? What helped you back then, or did you have that? I know you said you were good at what you were good at in school, but
Mhm.
how else did you deal with it back then? And then growing up as well.
Yeah, I don't think that, I don't think I was ever confident. Like I said, other than my
Yeah, I get
schoolwork,
it.
I honestly don't think so. When I was 16, I guess, I had my first, quote unquote boyfriend, and my best friend was dating his best friend. And even though I was with him for 5 or 6 years, we actually wound up getting engaged. I always knew he was not the right person for me. I loved him, but
Mm,
I knew in the end he was not the right person for me. But I can remember saying to myself, "Well, Deb, nobody else is going to want you
mhm,
because of the way I look. So you better say yes. This is your only chance," kind of thing. And so that confidence was definitely not there. I really think that in hindsight, caregiving gave me confidence.
there you
It's
go.
like it happened for a reason because it allowed me to find my voice because I couldn't find my voice for myself, but I felt so strongly that I couldn't allow my feelings about myself to affect my father's care, my son's care, those kinds of things. And so I had to step out of my comfort zone and speak up and question things and approach people that I would never have done if it
Mhm,
was for myself.
yeah.
And so it did give me a lot, but it took decades.
Mm. I tell you what, I had a crash course in that confidence thing, and that was the military.
Mm,
Right? So, you get in there, you're a little nervous, but what I realized is that we're all in here scared together. Like
yeah,
when we went to basic training, we all have our doubts, our self-doubts. Um, I cried a little bit in basic, and the guys in my room came and supported me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I had a crash course in it. It can be really rough. Some people it's not. Some people are made for the
yeah,
military,
yeah.
but it can be a little rough going through it. But once you get through that initial breakdown period, and they start to build you back up, it really helped me specifically with confidence. With
Can
like,
I
oh my god,
ask
I didn't.
why did you choose to go into the military? What made you do that?
I did. But no discipline. My discipline was low at the time.
Mm,
So I think a lot of that. Maybe there you go. So I wasn't really disciplined. I started to be, I don't know, I'm not gonna say a nuisance. I wasn't that bad, but I wasn't taking school seriously
mm,
at the time. I wanted to find a way to get others. I had my core group of friends, like that
right.
was in the neighborhood, but in school, a way to show that, hey, I am confident, but I really wasn't. And I became, just trying to fit in or trying to, you know, I don't know how to really describe it, but just how trying to find my place. It
Yep.
really created some bad habits for me, and I became pretty, you know, immature, not really disciplined, and I recognized that strangely enough.
Exactly. I mean, I think that that's what's
So,
amazing is that at that
yeah,
age, whatever, 17 or 18, you were able to say, "Hey, I need this."
yeah, and no, it was a little later than that. I actually went into the army
Oh,
when I was 20, but I was immature, it wasn't fulfilling, and I was wasting a great opportunity. So, I realized that at some point, and I went to it didn't happen, like, really quick, but I went to the recruiter, and then boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
they got me in. So, thankfully, the recruiter took care of me, though. I wanted to go infantry. I wanted to be a cop initially, and I wanted to go infantry. He was like, "You don't have to go infantry to be a cop." He probably looked at me and said, "This little skinny kid is not gonna, he ain't gonna make it in the infantry, right?" So I went in a different career in the army. I tell you what, back to that aura, how you respond to things, that also comes with being confident. Because what I've learned in my later years or my current years is that everyone is scared, but they go out and they do it anyway. They choose.
I
They
know.
make the
I
choice.
always find that amazing where someone's so confident that in that last, the final seconds of the game, they're like, "Give me the ball." I'd be like, "Oh my God, I don't want to take that shot and miss and be the person," right? But they're like, "Give me the ball. I've got this." And even if they miss, they're like, "The next time, give me the ball." And that
Yeah.
that is amazing.
Ah, I keep going back. This is hindsight, so bear with me. But what were you tolerating in your life because you had stopped believing that maybe change was possible? You kind of set into who you were. You had a whole lot of caretaking opportunities throughout your life, and you found yourself in this space. Maybe you considered it a rut. I don't know. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but
Hmm.
you found yourself in this spot, and you probably believed for a while that this is your life.
Oh, I
What were you
totally did.
tolerating? Yeah.
I was tolerating, I don't want to say mediocrity, but I was tolerating my lack of control. I was
Mhm.
tolerating surviving. I was surviving. I was not living. And that's what the difference is. That was the aha moment. Like, yeah, it's okay. I'm not saying that I would go back and change taking care of any of my family members. I absolutely would not. But I didn't have to do it at the exclusion of taking care of myself.
Mm.
And I didn't know about setting boundaries. It was just like there was a problem and I had to fix it. And I was felt like I was fixing everything. I have my second career, my first career was a CPA. My second career was and is I have an insurance agency. And so I have to worry about my customers. I have to worry about my team members. I have to worry about, my husband, my kids, my father. Like, where do I turn first? And
Yeah.
where's the fire today?
Mhm.
And it just, kind of felt like whack-a-mole. Okay, over here, over here, over here. I was
Yeah.
running everywhere. It was that hamster wheel. Get up in the morning and hurry up, take a shower, run out the door and get everyone. I was always having to fix everyone or make sure they're going to the right place. It was like I had to turn my kids around. You have your backpack, you have push them that way. Tell my husband, here's what you're doing today. Oh my goodness. It's
Mm.
overwhelming. It was overwhelming. I was not
Yeah.
living. And around 50, I thought to myself, well, I guess this is it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm living on the outside. I'm living the American dream. Supposedly, I live in a beautiful house in a lovely neighborhood. Two boys, my husband, my career. It looked great on the outside, but inside, I was dying.
And let me ask you a question. That's what I've been doing all day. But but you made a comment because I asked a question, so you didn't just offer this up. But you said that you believe that men have or are better at putting up boundaries, right?
Hmm.
Do you think all of the things that you were doing for people, not talking about your dad, but maybe your kids, maybe your husband, were you taking on more responsibility than you absolutely needed to? Do you believe that
Yeah.
now?
Yes. And
Yeah.
I believe that I did them all a disservice.
Mm.
I did. And you know what? It's something I
Yeah.
still struggle with. It's funny. My youngest son and I were just talking about this the other day. You know, um, I don't know, about a year ago, I asked my youngest son, so what is it like in my parenting that you would have changed? And he said, you made it too easy for us.
Mm.
Like you gave us everything.
Yeah.
And he sees it, but my older son, who, suffers from a variety of mental illnesses, does not see it at all. And I am
Yeah.
still pointing and pushing him in the direction that he needs to go instead of having him learn himself. And my youngest son was just saying, I know it's hard, but how is he going to learn if we don't? Because now my youngest son helps me take care of my older son, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's the poor
Yeah.
kid is kind of like moved into my role, which I don't want for him. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that I just wanted to fix everything. And
Yeah.
if you don't experience that struggle for yourself and have to come up with your own solution, that's how we learn, right? And
Mhm.
if I'm
Mhm.
fixing everything and making everything okay, what are you learning? Nothing. Just go to mom, she'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's an important lesson, for anybody to learn, and that applies at home for moms, a lot of moms, that applies at work.
Yep.
You just go and just do everything, and you just make it easy on a person. That happened with me when I was in the military, my first duty station. This guy, he did everything. I don't know if he just didn't have confidence in me being able to do it, or he just was used to doing everything, right? But when I was in the military, he would do everything, and I was like, "Okay, go ahead." And it was a disservice to me because I wasn't getting that experience initially. So I can definitely appreciate you saying that. But then also, people are different too. So you had two distinct sons that you're talking about,
Hmm.
and your first, your youngest said that you made it too easy,
Hmm.
and I feel that too. And I think how was your did your parents make it easy for you?
No, no. And
Yeah, but go
definitely
ahead.
not. I mean, I can remember because I feel like, uh, in old day terms, I was a baby. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
the littlest thing, I'd be like, "No, get me out of here." And my mother
Me too.
she was firm. You've
Yeah.
got to do this. And I think that I can remember feeling so afraid that of things that she made me take those risks or challenges or something that I didn't want to do, that I went the opposite way with my kids.
Mm,
I so hated that I didn't
mhm.
want them to feel that emotion. And
That's how
so,
it usually
the
works.
pendulum swung too far the other way because
Yeah.
I was trying to
Overcorrected.
avoid that.
Yeah. I remember when I was the baby, literally. I was the younger, well, it was just me and my sister. And I was super, I guess you would say spoiled. I had a bunch of women around, my grandma, my mom, and my sister. All of them did everything for me. They call me Little Lee. Lil Lee. Not even little, just Lil Lee.
I love
And they
that.
took care of everything, right? And so that shapes how I am kind of today as far as for me. But for like my kids, I try to give them everything that I can, and they're grown now, but I also wanted them to mature mentally. So I wouldn't give them everything. I point them in a direction. And sort of like I did in the military with my team. I point you in a direction and just sit back and watch. Won't let you go too far. I'm managing it, but I want to see what you do in these situations and how you cope with it and how you respond to different external stimuli before I jump in. Because one, here's the funny part about me. One, I just want to make sure that you can handle this stuff without me. That's one. But the other thing is, I can learn something from you because I only know what I know.
Mhm.
But if I allow you to do it in a different way, your own way, based off of your socialization and, response and all these things, I'm like, huh, I didn't even know I could respond to that like that. I didn't even know I could do that like that. So I use it as a learning opportunity for myself as well. Right.
That
But I
that's
didn't want to give all the answers to the test. But I give you, how the teacher said, knock on the desk.
yeah.
You're like, this is going to be on the test. I'll
Yep.
give you those nuggets. Right. That's just so I think we did the opposite. I
Which
had
is good.
everything. Yeah, but it's funny how those beginnings as a kid, how you were brought up influences how you do things, you know?
Absolutely. I
I mean,
wanna share when we were talking about this, it totally reminded me that um, my husband also actually used to work with me in our insurance or my insurance agency,
Mhm.
and he stopped working. Uh, I don't know. It doesn't matter what year he had stopped working. He winds up getting this terminal blood cancer diagnosis out of the
Oh,
blue, different than any other issues that he had. And
yeah.
so during that time, I basically stopped working.
Mm,
I was home with him and I would, maybe I had to go into the office like 2 hours once a week and I wouldn't even talk to them every day. And I was a person who was, there all the time, 9 to 5 or, earlier, making sure that I'm there with them. And my husband lived for 6 months. And after
man.
he died, I went to my team member who has been with me for a very long time, and I said to her, "Oh my goodness," and I had said all along how much I appreciated everything, and I said, "How was it?" thinking she's gonna tell me how hard it is, and instead, she said, "It was empowering."
Mhm,
And that made me realize I was doing the same thing at my office. I was
mhm,
just fixing everything. I was always, and I still do this, I'm listening to what's going on and interjecting instead of hanging back. And the fact that she said it was empowering completely changed the way that I interact now with them
mm,
and my customers and everything. It just blown away, blown away.
yeah. Wow. That is a powerful lesson, but and hopefully someone hears this, but, step back, right? The thing about the human race right now, historically speaking, is that someone else is gonna come in right after you. You don't have to keep all of that weight on yourself and think that you're indispensable
Yes.
or that you are the answer to everything. You are a key part of it, absolutely, absolutely. But don't put that additional burden on yourself that without you, everything will fall apart because you will fall apart eventually, right? So, yeah, that was wow. That was something. Hey, what mindset did you have to let go first? 50 years old, maybe it wasn't exactly 50, I keep saying that, but 50 years old, you're like, "Hey, this is wrong. I can't continue to live like this." Like what mindset did you have to let go of first? And what did it cost you to stop seeing yourself as maybe a victim? I'll keep it simple.
I mean, I don't feel that it really cost me anything. It
Exactly. That's my point.
yeah,
That's my point.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, it was and is eye-opening, and I I realized that I've got to start to think differently.
Mhm,
And that really sent me down the road of like mindset. I took courses, I listened to like I when I realized it was like when I realized that I had jumped into the Wizard of Oz, then I wanted to
mm,
know everything that there was. It was
yeah,
like I entered an alternate universe that I didn't even know existed. And so I just wanted to learn more and take risks. And I started with my weight because since I didn't know, okay, I need to change. I want to take control of my life, but I have no idea what I want. I have no idea what I want. So, how the heck do I even start? And when you
mm,
kind of look at every area, those categories of your life, career and friendship and spirituality and money and all the things, it was like, okay, I need to start with my health. I need to do
mm,
something with my weight. And so I took a different approach with that losing weight than I ever had before. And that kind of changed everything. I had a mindset change of feeling sorry for myself because why me, right? Why do
mhm,
I struggle with this weight when I'm looking at that woman and that woman and that woman and they're eating ice cream and they're having pizza and they're thin and I'm not. I just look at the pizza and, I gain 10 pounds kind of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's where my head was. I'm going
mm,
to do this diet. I'm going to lose the weight. But every time, of course, and we know that, I don't know what the percentage is, 95% of the people who lose weight gain it back plus some. And that
Mhm.
was certainly me. And I had a mindset shift of, you know what? This is not a diet. This is not, you're on, you're off, you're perfect, you're great. Uh-oh, you messed up. Might as well
Mm.
just say, forget it. You have no discipline. Um, and I realized, no, this is not on and off. This is the rest of my life. And
Yeah.
if it takes me 5 years, 10 years to lose the weight, who cares? At least it's going in the right direction instead of
Mm.
setting these difficult milestones that if I didn't hit it, then I was a failure. And nothing changed. I'd been on diets since I was, I don't know, 8 years old, probably. Nothing changed. We all know that all the diets, they'll work. The only thing that changed is the way that I was thinking about it.
Mhm.
And that was probably, I'm 62, heading towards 63, and that was probably about 10 years ago now. And for the
Yeah.
first time, I still have not hit that number that I want to, but that's okay. I've
Yeah.
headed in the right direction. I have kept it there, which is the
Mhm,
first time
mhm.
I've ever done that. And I don't think I ever did it for a year, let alone 10 years. And it's
Wow.
all because of my mindset.
Ooh, I tell you what, Debbie, I need my mindset shifted like yours because I just went I'm being so vulnerable today. I just went to the doctors the other day and they gave me a bunch of different diagnoses, right? But the key thing that I needed to do to kind of get myself healthy again is
Yep.
to lose the weight,
Yep.
right? Said I need to lose like 20 pounds. I don't know what I will look like losing 20 pounds, but if it all comes out of my belly, then I think I'll be great.
Yeah. I
But
don't
I
know.
need that mentality because, and I say that tongue in cheek, but I need that mentality because even yesterday, I just went to the doctor earlier this week. Today is Sunday. And I was like, give me those cheese puffs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it is what it is, right? That won't hurt, but it's going in the wrong direction. And it's the mentality. To your point, it's the mentality that needs to change.
Yeah.
If the
It's
mentality, you can have all the knowledge about the diets and what it can do and how you feel, all this, but if your mentality doesn't change, then it's gonna fail.
the other thing that like really resonated with me that I learned early on is that every choice is a vote for your future self.
I'm about to go. That's it, guys. Oh, I wrote a book called From Here to There, and
Yep.
and it talks about that. But you don't know, and you'll make any choice if you don't really have an idea of what your future self is. I look right now, I just had to go to the dentist. My teeth look horrible right now to me, and it's all from my previous prior self making these unconscionable decisions
Yep.
that I have to live with now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So just understanding that you're like you just mentioned it. You're in a position right now. You can only affect right now. So think about your future self.
Every time you make a choice, is this what
Mm,
I want?
yeah.
It's like that delayed gratification, really, right?
Mm.
Because like the cheese puff for me, it's ice cream, is tastes
Mhm.
delicious now, but then, down the road, is is that what I want? No. And the thing is, I can't say never eat a cheese puff, never eat ice cream. That was also my
No.
mindset shift. If I truly want it, I'm having it. That just doesn't mean I'm going to eat it every day, every meal, even though I still like to.
Oh. Oh, I do too. I do too. I gotta go to the grocery store after this, and good gosh, Imma see everything all over again, so now I have to be in there and make conscious decisions, that's gonna affect my future self. So I appreciate appreciate that insight. Um, what's one of the bravest things that you did before you fully believed in yourself? Maybe you're on the cusp of, that 50th birthday. What's the bravest thing that you did?
So the bravest thing I did after that or during that weight loss thing, I had been part of a nonprofit organization for, I don't know, a very long time. I held
Mhm.
every position, treasurer, vice president. And at the time when I became vice president, I said, I'll say yes to being vice president, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be president. And why did I say that? Because the president had to give 2 speeches a year in front of about 150 people. And that was my worst nightmare. And then, of course,
Mm.
I was also worried about, oh my goodness, I have to run board meetings. And, some people go on too long. And how do you cut them off? And, the whole thing. And what if I make a decision as president and it is the wrong decision for the organization? Like, I had so many things in my head. And when it came time, when they came to me and said, okay, we're ready for a new president. Are you going to do it? Instead of saying no, I shocked myself and said yes.
Mm.
Because all I thought at the time was, I am so scared. But what if I do a good job? What if I could do something to help the organization? But I was too afraid. And I really knew in my gut that this would be something I would look back on and regret, that I never gave it a try.
Mm.
And when I went up there to give that first speech, I can't even tell you. I mean, scared does not, I don't know what adjective. I thought I was going to die. It was horrible.
Mhm.
And I got up there and I wasn't even talking off the cuff. Like, I was reading my speech.
Mhm.
And in the very beginning, like, I had a little joke, people laughed. I was like, okay, that makes me feel good. And then I told this story about my dad who had passed away already. And I had practiced a million times, but somehow in that moment, when I started talking about my father, I got super emotional. And I
Mm.
had a pause, and you could see, that I had tears in my eyes. And when I looked into the audience, every single person was looking at me. Some also had tears. They weren't looking down at
Leaning
their
in.
phones or, a piece of
Mhm.
paper, whatever. And I felt like, wow, they're with me.
Mhm.
And what I'm saying is really impacting them. And they came to me afterwards and said, oh my goodness, I had no idea you were such a great speaker. And they wanted to share their own story. And I was like, what? And it kind of awoke in me, like,
Mhm.
I love this.
Wow.
And it changed the trajectory of my life. And I
Yeah.
never, ever, ever would be where I am today if I hadn't taken that risk.
I love how you say the word regret. I've asked some of my guests on here, and I took the word out because I didn't like the answers. But I'd always say, "Hey, what's something that you regret?" Because it's hindsight, right?
Hmm.
What's something that you regret? And they would always say, "I don't regret anything because all the choices and things that I've made up to this point make me who I am," which is facts.
Yep.
It's true. But it doesn't mean that you don't have any
Of
regrets
course.
about some things, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
took it out. So I just appreciate you sharing that because we all, not kind of promote, but actually am trying to promote. I wrote another book called Measured in Regrets. That's a fictional book about someone who gotten older and was facing his mortality.
Mm.
And he was facing a lot of his regrets, and he wanted to fix things before he left existence. So I just appreciate it because I understand that, yeah, this is who I am. I'm here now, and I made those mistakes, or I made those choices that I deemed bad choices then. But if I hadn't, will I be here? Butterfly effect? I don't know. But I still believe that I could have gotten here faster,
Exactly. Me
or
too.
I could have gotten here more intentionally,
Yeah.
or I could be even further along, right? If I had done different choices. So I appreciate you sharing that vulnerable part because a lot of people don't like to share that. Oh, I don't regret anything. Okay, I know I do.
Yeah.
I can't make you regret and stuff, but I know I do. So I appreciate it. All right, you wrote a few books yourself. I've been
Yes, I
talking
did.
about mine, but you wrote The Sprinkle Effect around small intentional shifts. Why do small steps matter so much when confidence is low?
I think when you think about tackling something, it feels like a mountain,
Mhm,
and you just don't do it because it feels impossible. And I hate to go back to the same, story, but with the weight loss, the way I started was saying Weight Watchers was kind of like my diet of choice, and back then, you had to go in person to a meeting, and I said, "You know what? I need to lose." At that point, I needed to lose 100 pounds. I'm gonna go to the meeting every week. That's my goal. I don't care what I eat. I don't care if I exercise, drink 20 glasses of water. Nope.
mm,
I am just going. And if I thought to myself back then, you're just going, you need to lose freaking 100 pounds. What the heck is that going to do?
mm,
But it started me. It was small, it was something attainable. And when I went to the meeting every week, I felt really good about myself because I achieved my goal. And probably two
yeah,
or 3 months later, I probably gained 5 pounds. But it didn't
mhm,
matter. I was still going. And then once I
yeah,
got that, I added something else small. And
mhm,
so to take away that, I want it now. We all want it now. I
mhm,
mean, it's just the way it is. You feel like these things, these small steps that you're taking make no difference, but they really start you down that path. It's the little small bites. So, what happened? I felt really good about myself because I achieved my goal of showing up. All right, now I'm going to continue showing up and I'm just going to pay attention to what I eat 50% of the time. That can't be that hard.
mm,
And it just naturally progresses because you feel good,
mhm,
because you've
yeah,
achieved what you set out to achieve, as
yeah,
opposed to, oh my God, I have to lose 100 pounds. That's never happening.
yeah. I talked to one guy and he was saying how we complicate things,
Mm,
and typically it's because we combine a whole bunch of things into one massive problem, and if we just pull away the layers, handle them one at a time, you know,
yep.
it's doable, and then celebrate when you accomplish those things. You ever played, like, the little video games on the phone that have all the different levels?
No, I'm not a,
Like, I do one, it's like word find,
yeah.
and it has all the little circle of letters, and you gotta find these words.
Yes.
And I'll find the words, and I'm like, "Oh, what is this word? Oh!" And I find it, and I'm thinking that's it, but now I'm happy. "Ah, I beat that level. I'm going to the next level. Imma see." That's the same thing,
It is.
celebrate those small victories because they're all victories. Right? And before you know it, you'll achieve what you thought you wanted to achieve and exceed it and go beyond it because you've shifted your mind on what
Exactly.
matters most. So, all right, really quick, what helped you? I got a lot of questions. I'm so sorry. What helped you keep going?
That's what I'm here for, isn't it?
Keep apologizing. Hey, so what helped? Because honestly, like this is the part we talked. We hinted at this earlier in the conversation. We talked about this. So I'm going to ask you this. What helped you to keep going when the excitement of change wore off and real life was still real life?
Oh boy, that is a really good question. I think I realize because my life got really, really tough, I would say, um, in my late 50s, really tough for a variety of reasons. But I
Mhm,
still kept going with this new direction that I didn't really understand. Because what I found was when the outside world, my circumstances at the time, were so difficult, knowing that I was taking small steps forward for something that was important to me and made me feel good, that saved me.
mm,
I mean, I just want to tell you this story that I I never wanted to write a book. Never, ever. I was a math person. That's what the story
Mm,
I told myself. And I was a math person, not a words person. And it kept coming up in different areas. You should write a book. You should tell your story. And I had all these limiting beliefs around it. I finally get to the point where I hear this podcast that I don't usually listen to, and they're interviewing a woman who helps first time authors get their stories out there. And I thought this happened for a reason. Let me meet her. So I, go on Zoom and I meet her, and she's about to launch a course for first time authors, small group course.
mm,
And I had so much fear around doing this, but I was just about to say yes when my husband got diagnosed with cancer. And at the
mm.
time I was seeing a therapist, and I said to her, obviously, I'm not going to sign up for this course now. That would be ridiculous. I don't know what's going to happen. Everything is up in the air. And what happens if I sign up for this course and I can't show up one week, or there's homework and I don't do the homework? And I kept listing these excuses. And she said to me, who cares? You're
Mm,
going to need something just for you during this time. And I thought that was the craziest thing I ever heard. Who thinks to do something new, try something new, when you are going through such a difficult period of uncertainty?
yeah.
And I listened to her, and she was absolutely right. Writing the book, and it was my first book, my memoir, writing that
Mhm.
book saved me during the most difficult time of my life. And I
Yeah.
think it was so counterintuitive, to think, oh, this is a great time to jump in and learn something new. I mean, it seemed absurd, but
Yeah.
it was, even though it was difficult, the writing and the whole thing,
Mhm.
it gave me something else to focus on that was separate than, everything else that was going on in my life.
Yeah. What was the name of the memoir?
On second thought, dot, dot, dot,
I
maybe I can.
maybe I can. Mindset shift. Mm. I love that title, by the way.
Thank you.
I love that title. You know, I don't I wanna just keep, I keep thinking of things, but then I gotta limit myself. But there's so many opportunities that we get that will help propel us in a direction that we don't even understand is possible. We don't even see it, right? And
Yep.
and honestly, it can go good or
Oh,
bad.
yeah. I've had it go both
You know?
ways.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But choices, mindset, future self, all of these are things that really need to stay in the forefront of our thinking, of our decision making, I believe. At least for me.
Me too,
Maybe for you too, Debbie,
for sure. Yes.
But I think it's something that really needs to stay there because I read something and it was crazy. And now keep in mind that choices are like get out of the bed, brush your teeth, eat some cereal. But they say you do like 34,000, you make 34,000 decisions or choices a day.
Yeah, crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And some of those are some important decisions,
Yes.
some important choices, right? So just be in the mindset to kind of keep yourself going. And for the person who's listening who feels like life passed them by, what do you want to say to
Oh,
them?
my goodness. You're living. It hasn't passed you by. It is never, ever too late. Never too late.
Yeah.
I think to myself, after I wrote the first book, I was like in some group, 15 people who had written a book, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to be the oldest one there. There was people in their 80s, mid 80s wrote their first book. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm a baby in this group. These people, they're
I know.
just, they don't stop. They don't stop. And I think that that's wonderful. I think if you're breathing, it's not too late. Never.
Yeah. My mom, she's at a conference this weekend. Right now, she's at a conference, right? genealogy, and she does a lot of writing herself. So there's
That's
always time.
Yep,
There's always time.
it's
Hey,
great.
g- great conversation, Debbie. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you like to bring up now?
I don't think so. I think we talked about, a lot of different good things. I'll tell you though, I'll share a quote that really resonates with me and started to resonate with me very differently than it had for most of my life. And it's one that every single person pretty much knows. And it's from The Wizard of Oz, and Glinda the Good Witch said to Dorothy, "You've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself." And
Mm,
as a kid, I mean, not just a kid, an adult, I thought that meant, well, Dorothy, you could have clicked your heels 3 times in the beginning of this movie and you would have gone home. I didn't realize the deeper meaning, which is that every single one of us has the power, but we just don't realize it. And once you do, everything can change.
mm, mm. Damn. All right, that's how you do it right there. That's that that's that tip of the day.
Yeah.
But so, so Debbie, how can we learn more about you, your wonderful work, your books, the Sprinkle Effect, and maybe I can. How can we learn more about you? Where can we look you up?
My website is probably the best place because all the links are there. It's DebbieRWeiss.com. You got to put the R in, otherwise you get to a realtor in California.
Okay. All right, I love it. Okay. All right, and Debbie, I want to close with a hindsight question. Is it too late to become a different version of yourself?
Nope. Like I said, it is never too late. And I think that what I've learned thus far, being on this journey for over 10 years, and it's so cliche, but it really is true. It really is all about the journey. And the
Yeah.
journey is exciting, even when you fail, right? The journey is exciting.
Hmm.
So start now.
Oh man, I remember one quote that said, "When was the best time to start a change or start a new thing?" And they're like 5 years ago. And I was like, "When is the next best time?" Right now,
Right now.
right now. And for you who are listening, here's your challenge. Choose one area where you've been stuck, waiting for life to change, and take one small action this week that puts you back in motion. And if this episode helped you see that confidence can be rebuilt, no matter your season of life, subscribe to Hindsight the Podcast for more real stories and practical steps. And Debbie, thank you for being here and sharing your truth. It's truly been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
That's Hindsight.